There they are! Hey, it's me again! Oh, heck yeah.
Developed by Moon Studios and released in 2015, Ori and the Blind Forest was a massive hit, reportedly making back more than its budget within a few weeks of release. Now mind you, this was made by a new company with no physical office.
Hey, what's the opposite of eye bleach?
What kind of a question is that?
Hey, I need to know!
This game is absolutely beautiful, and it doesn't take a pair of glasses to see that. Well, maybe it does. The expertly crafted, hand-drawn world just feels so alive. There's always something to look at, and it absolutely blows my mind. Mind you, I'm used to games like Alex Kidd. There's a tad difference in quality. The visuals and music were so good, in fact, that it was actually dubbed a prime example of video games truly being an art form.
It took 4 decades and a tiny little spirit creature for everyone else to realize that?
The game itself is extremely well designed too. The controls and progression are just excellent, even better than some of the more mainstream games like Super Metroid. Yeah, you've got your run and jump, but all the abilities you get along the way are so much fun to use.
The last time I had this much fun with the moveset alone was with Robot 64. Come on, Crash! Step up your game!
There are a bunch of them, but we'll go through those later when they're unlocked gradually. Spoiler warnings never really work, but here's one anyway. The game is incredible to experience for yourself, and I highly recommend it. Nobody left? Alright, the opening to the game is already very emotional, with this Naru character adopting the spirit Ori. It's really pretty, but something out of their control causes the forest to wither away, and Naru dies of starvation. Yes, that's what happens.
I diagnosed you with depression.
I asked for a haircut.
Anyway, Ori almost dies and gets saved by the spirit tree. Now the game actually starts. I think the devs knew that people would just jump constantly, so they made it that every third jump makes Ori do a little flip. I like this. You've got 2 major resources to manage, health and energy. You can get more of each by finding all these items that are strewn across the map. One of the major mechanics that becomes apparent the moment you can use energy is the Spirit Link. This is the main way you save your game and costs 1 full energy thing to use. This means you can save almost anywhere you want, which is a big help in the later challenges, which can get a little difficult at times. Oh no! An enemy? But I don't have any combat skills! That's okay, just trick it into killing itself.
Oh, a present for me? Okay then.
One of the first things you find is Sin. The heart of the spirit tree and your main way of attacking. Pressing the mouse button will shoot small beams of light called Spirit Flame that hits enemies. It's not the best combat system, but that's because the game is far more focused on platforming than on combat. Sin says, "We gotta go to the tree!" So you run through the spirit caverns and gain the ability to wall jump, which immediately makes the platforming way more interesting. You make it to the tree and Sin goes, "Hey, listen!" on you and tells you the story of how the spirit tree and most of the forest died. Some big evil owl stole Sin and killed all the other spirits. That's about it. Since the tree wasn't there anymore, all 3 of the elements, water, wind, and warmth, I thought it was fire, earth, ice, and lightning, but okay, were thrown out of balance. Thus poisoning the water, wreaking havoc on the winds, and flaring up the volcanic Mount Horu.
So we gotta go do stuff, but first I've gotta do my daily routine of looking at all my Steam games. So I have to replay an hour of content just to make sure I don't miss anything that the definitive edition added?
Yes, you heard me right. I played through the first hour of the game twice, though the second time I speedran it and set the game to hard difficulty, which I will be playing the rest of the game with from now on. Wait, hold on, why can I stand here? Okay then. The Hollow Grove is the area around the Spirit Tree, and it's here where you can unlock the Charge Flame, which costs energy and breaks open certain barriers and objects. This opens a passage to Thornfelt Swamp, which is the second major area of the game. Other than that, it's not really used that much. It can be a helpful combat ability, but all the rest of them that you get later down the line are way more fun to use and are far more versatile. This one I often forgot exists. Now, Thornfelt Swamp has a lot of poisoned water and plant life everywhere. Almost immediately, the item you need to get to the element of water is stolen by this spidery fellow, Gumo. He's kinda like Knuckles in Sonic 3. He makes your life miserable for a while, but comes around after you do something for him.
Like my sponsor when I don't do anything for a month. Oh yeah, we're still being sponsored by Lone Star PC. Check them out in the description. They're pretty reliable and make really great PCs that they will customize to your liking. Now, this doesn't mean that I live in Texas or the USA, and I definitely do not live on 316 West Wallaby Street.
Gumo's Hideout, or Moon Grotto, I guess, is a fairly large gauntlet of platforming challenges. It's here where you obtain the double jump, which, through the ability point system, can be upgraded to a triple jump. Oh yeah, ability points. So basically, everywhere there is Spirit Light and ability cores, all of which give you points to spend on this ability tree. Personally, I find that most of the combat skills aren't worth having, but that really isn't too important. These upgrades can be anything from giving you more health from pickups to straight up reducing the damage you take by half. Back to the Moon Grotto. Gumo's final trickery actually gets him stuck under a rock. You go and save him and he gives you the water vein that you need. This gives you access to the location of the element of water, the Ginso tree. Ginso. I think it's Ginso. If I'm wrong, don't bother telling me.
Honestly, I don't think getting the vein was really necessary. I've already got this.
The tree is full of platforming challenges and is accompanied by an ability that makes the entire game so much fun that it single-handedly carries the combat system. The Bash. You can reflect projectiles, knock enemies away from you, jump off of enemies and their projectiles, and even abuse some things that the Definitive Edition has, but we'll get there in a bit. It is way too much fun to punish half of the enemies in the game for existing by knocking them away from you or shooting their own projectiles back at them. The Ginso tree ends with this crazy escape sequence that requires you to actually be good at the movement that you have at this point. A lot of people seem to think this is difficult, and I have no idea why. This was the easiest escape sequence of the game. The giant owl, Kuro, very nearly kills you moments after you complete the Ginso tree. Geez, what a sore loser. Thankfully, you get saved off screen by Gumo. This area is technically still the Thornfelt Swamp, but after you've cleaned the water, it looks extremely different and plays one of the best tracks in the game. I legitimately sat here for several minutes just listening to it. I almost wanted to stay there forever.
In this area, you find a stomp ability. And believe me, the only other way you're going to get this much power is with a bomb. Luckily, some nitwit gave me one.
There is an optional area just west of the Moon Grotto, which was added by the Definitive Edition, the Blackroot Burrow. Here you can learn more about the Naru character from earlier. She apparently always had a friendship with the spirits, but her father didn't approve for some reason. He died. Thankfully, you get 2 more abilities to compensate. I'd say it's all worth it. The dash is exactly what it sounds like. A dash. You shoot forward extremely quickly, and man, this sped up the pace considerably. Before I got this, movement was fairly expansive, but still rather sluggish. But with this dash, everything's just ramped up to 11. There's no stopping you once you have this. You just zip halfway across the screen in like 2 seconds. Then you get this light burst ability, which lets you throw a small bomb that you can bash off of. This gives you insane vertical mobility a lot earlier in the game than was originally intended, letting you get all sorts of health and energy upgrades that you would not have been able to get otherwise. On top of this, it also opens a lot of secret passageways added in the Definitive Edition, which also give you more ability points and upgrades that you wouldn't have gotten before. Now, before you can enter the next major area, you have to distract Kuro by dropping these rocks on her. This rewards you with one of her feathers that you can use to glide, which is also very fun.
So then you gotta go to the Misty Woods, where they steal away the map that you've gotten used to using the entire game. Oh dear.
There is a reason for this, though. The Misty Woods teleports you all over the actual map of Misty Woods, giving it this strange feeling of this stuff was not over here before. Something is very wrong. While this does give me, a guy who really likes maps, a small headache, it works for what it sets out to do. You get the ability to climb walls here, which seems redundant with the wall jump, but these mushroom things will change place when you jump, so it's still pretty useful. The goal is to reach this thing, pick it up, and take it to the lantern over here. This gives you the key to the Forlorn Ruins. This frosty place was apparently the home of the Gumos people. Unfortunately, they all died in the freeze. Like the ants in my farm when the power went out last winter. Rest in peace, Flick! The ruins themselves are pretty large, having a lot of tomfoolery involving these orange platforms that you can stick to and can rotate your gravity around while carrying this ball. This bit can be skipped almost entirely with the Definitive Edition abilities, but hey, it was a lot more fun to do it the hard way. Finally making it to the ruins rewards you with a fairly difficult escape sequence and the best music ever created. No, you can't change my mind. The sequence itself is a good deal more complicated than the Ginso tree, since that only forces you to go up. Not go right, dodge 2 dozen spikes, avoid being blasted by these beams, glide through this area, be not over here when this rock falls, okay, I think you get it. After finishing this escape, we are rewarded with the story of why Kuro wanted to kill us. Apparently the spirit tree's light is so powerful that it can accidentally kill small creatures that aren't spirits. Kuro's babies died.
There's just a lot of death in this story, isn't there?
Kuro still has 1 egg left, and she wants to eradicate every single spirit so that there is no chance that this thing can happen again. Does she realize that she's destroying the entire forest? No? Okay then. There's this extremely tense sequence of hiding from Kuro while trying to escape the Valley of the Wind, which is executed very well and had me on the edge of my seat. The next area to explore is Sorrow Pass, a spiky hazard-filled wasteland. Here you get the final ability, the Charge Jump. This allows you to go pretty much anywhere and break almost every barrier in the way. The area itself is pretty difficult, attributing to over half of the deaths I experienced throughout my entire playthrough. This section here was particularly difficult. It forces you to be super precise with the glide ability, and it actually ended up making my pinky finger sore from all of the use of the shift button.
The end of Sorrow Pass gives you a wonderful view and the key to the final area, Mount Horu. Although volcanoes aren't my favorite video game areas, I'd be lying if I said they weren't.
To make it to Mount Horu, you need to go through a part of the Hollow Grove you never went through before. It basically makes sure that you have all of the necessary abilities to end the game and provide emotional build-up. Once you make it to Mount Horu, a cutscene plays of Gumo reviving Naru with some technomagical stuff he grabbed from the Forlorn Ruins. They then make their way to Mount Horu. That is all. The mountain is full of difficult challenges that test every facet of the game's controls and mechanics. You'll have to get real crafty with the abilities at your disposal, especially since on hard mode, almost everything here is a one-hit kill. There's even a micro escape sequence right here to make you panic after thinking you finished that section. Finally, you reach the end of the area and restore the final element, only for Kuro to swoop in and start the hardest chase sequence in all of Ori.
If you wait for a moment too long, you get smacked upside the head and die. Haha, I'm ready for you this time!
Here you need to be more than just crafty with your movement. You have to become a full-blown speedrunner. Each section is difficult in its own right, but dying on any of them or taking a little bit too long at any point will send you right back to the beginning. This was ungodly hard, but was a good climax at least.
And Kuro still catches you, and almost kills you. Again.
Naru appears and picks Ori up in such a motherly fashion that it makes Kuro remember that she still has a child, who's about to be hard-boiled. She grabs Scene, you know, the heart of the forest, kind of important, and throws him back on the tree. She dies because of it, getting completely eviscerated by the light. But her child survives. Yay! Everything gets fixed and the forest is no longer in peril. Or on fire, for that matter.
I wouldn't know what that feels like.
Kuro's kid starts to hatch and the credits roll. Wow, this game is absolutely incredible. I said it at the beginning, but all of the art and music is top-notch. This feels more like an interactable animated movie than a game at times, while still having the level of fun that games like Sonic Mania have to offer. I said it before, but the controls too. I've 100%ed this game at this point, but I still regularly boot it up just to screw around with the controls and the abilities that I unlocked throughout the game. In fact, it's so good that they made a sequel a few years later, which I will talk about, just not today.
This game will always be remembered, and it's one of my favorites. Anyway, I got this letter in the mail. I wonder what it says. You are invited to the Domino's United Gathering. But I hate rectangles with rounded corners. No!